Hello, friend, and welcome to Real Life Shh with Chrissy. I am thrilled to have you join us for another episode of great insight and information that you can use in what may seem like a crazy world. If you enjoy our discussions, show some love by hitting that like button, share on your favorite social media platform, and don't forget to subscribe to my show on your favorite platforms like Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else you listen to my podcast. Also, check out my YouTube channel, Real Life Shh with Chrissy. Your support helps us reach more listeners with hope, connection, and transformation. Now let's get started with another exciting episode, Real Life Shh with Chrissy. Today, I have one of the coolest, insightful beings I have ever had the honor of meeting. She's one of my soul sisters, and I'm so grateful for her presence in my life and for her making the connection here today, all the way from Saudi. My next guest is a channel for spirit. Please welcome my dear friend, Samantha Jackson. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, my love. I'm so happy you're here. We're both so happy to be here together, right?
Yes. Very happy to be here.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and dive in. What exactly is channeling for those who don't know, and how does your channel specifically work?
Well, my channel, it's very interesting. It's been a long time coming. And channeling to me is you get a download when you connect and you go into a special, I mean, it can be sort of a meditative space, but it's where you push yourself out of the way and you allow this information to stream into your mind, into your heart. There's different ways to receive messages. Some people are clairaudient, some people are clairvoyant, claircognizant, which is clear thinking, or clairsentient, which is clear feeling. I'm very clairaudient, and I have been since I was a child, actually since I was about 6 years old. And so I could hear people talking to me, and I just, accepted it, didn't really think much about it. But then I forgot about it. And then as I got older, it started, my journals that I would write, because I had a journal I started when I was 12, started turning into a different voice coming in. And I would be answering my own problems, and I would be getting all this wisdom in. And I was like, okay. And then specifically in 2008, I had a very big change in the way I would write in my journals, and it was clearly not coming from me. And so the voice would change, and it would be a very strong third person. And they said, "We're so happy you can finally hear us." They're like, "Yay." And I was like, "What am I writing right now? This is the craziest thing ever. I'm not telling a soul. This is just a secret I'm keeping to myself." So I just did that for quite a while in my journals. I hand wrote it all, and it all came through writing. Writing was my absolute favorite medium to do this in. But honestly, it can come through talking and speaking to people when something happens between me and that person. I call it spiraling, and our energy kind of starts to intertwine, and I all of a sudden start getting hits about them, and I'll just start sharing it. But it doesn't happen that often because I think I'm more designed to write it than verbally give sessions with people. It's more writing. That's just a beautiful thing for me.
This is maybe a silly question. Does your handwriting change, or did it change when this started?
The handwriting itself, it was still my handwriting, but the words were like, wow. I mean, it was from a space that was so much more advanced and loving and big picture. It was just they weren't my words. You could easily tell that was not me speaking. And the writing is almost actually proof for people who are like, "Oh, is this phony baloney? Like, what is this?" The writing, if you know me and then you read what they say through me, it's like, oh, obviously that is definitely not you. That's 100% not you.
Right. I've only known you since you've realized this gift, but I can definitely speak for you because I've received one of your letters from the soul, and I've known you in other atmospheres where you share some mediumships or some hits,
Mhm.
and your words
Mhm.
literally are like poetry. Like I'm like, whoa, she's like so in depth and
It's
just like, whoa,
it's
like where does this come
I
from?
agree. It's like a metaphorical way of speaking. They take all these beautiful ways of expressing something important for somebody in the most beautiful way that I, honest to God, I cannot take credit for it. It would never come from me that way. And it's just been, I'm amazed. I mean, every time I do a letter for somebody, I'm like, wow, that is them, and I'm the middle person. I'm the translator, and I connect with their soul and all the collective souls that are with them. And some mediumship can kind of trickle in there, but I don't call myself that. But when you're dealing with all these different energies around each person, you can get all kinds of hits, from different ancestors or, loved ones or whatever will come in and say hi real quick. Hmm.
So do you believe that everyone has channels, just some are closed while others have open channels?
I have debated this question so much. A lot of people are saying that everybody can channel, and I cannot speak for everyone. I just know that I was designed to receive this. And I'm not 100% sure everyone is designed to receive it, not in the way, specifically not in the way that I receive it. So people might get, sure, hits of inspiration, hits of intuition, hits of like just ideas that'll come out of nowhere. 100%. Absolutely, people get that. But what I'm doing is really a deeper consciousness connection to something really big. And I only know a few people that are doing that. And I wouldn't say every single person on the planet can do this, because I don't know if they're designed to do this specifically. So that's
So
my answer to that.
I get you. So for those who
Mm,
are designed, how does
yeah.
one open a channel if that's what
Hmm.
is desired?
Yeah, I think the one of the best things is you have to make it a priority. You have to have a bit of a discipline. It's like working a muscle. It's a part of your brain that you need to think about and be conscious of, but also you need to be quiet. You need to have a quiet space. And the world just keeps getting busier and louder and more, social media and distractions, and we're all kind of like all over the place. I find that it's very, very hard for people, your average everyday person, to really get quiet unless they absolutely dedicate themselves to it. And I always say, take a notebook with you, and you might just get bullet points. You might just get words that kind of come. You might ask for questions, but it is like a co-creative process. You got to invite it in. You got to ask for some help. You got to ask for some protection as well, to make sure that it's coming from a high level place. So I would say dedicate the time, dedicate the space, calm your nervous system down, and ask for it to come in and just see what you get.
So then when you do channel for someone and you're doing
Mhm.
all the above that you just mentioned, you have, a quiet
Mhm.
space and
Mhm.
all that. Do you do like an energy check with the person that you might work with? And like, what if it's like,
Mm.
I don't know about this. I'm going to
Oh,
say no,
yeah, I've
or
had I've had a situation where they said they were ready. They said they were open. But when I went in, I saw in my mind and I felt like guardian angels saying, sorry, we're not open for business. Like, even though they verbally tell me, yeah, yeah, please do a letter, and
yeah.
they're ready to go for it. And then I struggle, and I can't, because I have to have permission. I never go in for somebody without permission. That's a sacred covenant that I have made with my guides and just whoever is watching me and helping me on the other side. It's very sacred. So if they say verbally they give me permission and I go in and it's like, nope, doors closed, then I will tell them and say, I think we need to do this another time. Maybe there's something going on, but you're actually not open right now.
Right. So,
And that's only happened like once.
okay. But
But it has happened.
it's kind of like their guides are protecting them in a way, like
Yes.
they're not ready yet.
Yes.
No, they still have some like work to do before you give them all this insight or,
Well, yeah.
and then how do you protect yourself?
I protect myself by doing a prayer. I'm a huge believer in prayers. I actually clean my energy before I even start a letter for somebody. I have a whole ritual of things that I do for myself. Um, and I always I can feel like the big, like, yes, when we're both aligned and our energies are resonating. And it happens so quickly and it's so efficient. And it doesn't matter if I'm in their space. I live in Saudi Arabia. It doesn't matter if you're in the United States. It doesn't matter where you are. It's an energetic resonance. So when our frequencies are like lined up, it's like green light, go. We're all good. Everything's good to go. And I do feel very protected. I've never felt not protected, and I know I've got like an army of guardians myself. So if I'm allowed to do this kind of work, then they've got my back for sure. I'm protected.
Yes, you've got like an army. Like, watch
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mess with Miss Jackson, right? All right. Can you tell me or us about the first time you experienced being a channel for spirit? And how did you know what was happening? Was it just like the knowing, or were you writing, this is your channel, or what?
I was writing, and it's in 2008 when they said, "We're so glad you finally hear us." They were celebrating, like screaming and so happy. And I was like, what? And then they started telling me things. They told me about my husband and how what the things I needed to do to meet him, to get him to
What?
see me and hear me.
Wow.
And then they told me about my child. And I was like, what? And then I also had a dream about my son. Well, whether or not it was an actual dream or not, I'm not sure, but he was talking to me and everything he said came true. And then it's like, it was kind of this prophetic stuff, because it was almost like I needed to believe it too. Because trust me, I'm like my biggest critic. I'm always like, oh my God, am I nuts? Is this really happening? And then every single time, it's the most beautiful, wonderful thing that truly is happening. But it would just be like, it was probably 2008. And then my journals really started changing the messages. I started getting like quantum physics information that I haven't told you about.
No. And
but when I was in Madagascar, of all places, because that's where I moved, and then everything exploded in Madagascar. And I do believe it has something to do with the land and the energies there and whatnot. But I remember sitting in my house and a name came through that it was Zachariah, and he was telling me about the joy pattern. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? The joy pattern. And it was all about molecules and all this stuff that we don't see, that was all quantum physics-y things. And I'm like, okay, this is really wow. And I'm like, I'm keeping this to myself. No one's gonna know about this.
Right. Do you have a background in quantum physics at all? Like, were you like
I was a communications major.
That is insane. No. That's like bananas. No. Or like my favorite saying, is it odd or is it God?
Yeah.
A cheesy saying,
That's
but I love it.
That's a really good saying, actually. Yeah. So
that is so cool. But let me ask you, so when you started channeling before you met your husband, how did that conversation unfold? Like, did you say, so by the way, Spirit already told me about you? And how was his reaction?
Well, you got to be smart about it, right? Like it was, I mean, you got to be cool. And sometimes, there's a time and a place for everything to be revealed, right? And so I was just waiting for the time when I felt like, okay, I think we're all right now, where I can kind of share some more of this information with him. And he's an educator. He's very logical. He is not like me. And he always says, well, just because you say it doesn't mean I'm going to believe it. And that hurt my feelings a lot in the beginning. But then I was like, well, that you got a point, because just because this is happening to me, I'm getting information it's hard for him to relate. So he's very, very, very grounded, linear, bless his heart. And he still loves me and he doesn't think I'm crazy, which is awesome. But we did have that conversation and it was a little eye-opening for him, because he wanted to feel that this was real, but he was so skeptical. And that's okay. It's okay to have skepticism. In fact, it's healthy. And I recommend having skepticism 100%.
So was this, personal question, was this
Yeah.
before or after you guys had sex that you told him?
That's a good question.
Because maybe he's like,
long after.
yeah, maybe he's like, well,
Yeah.
she has a magic vagina, so right? Maybe he's like, I'll just. I don't believe this, but it's, who knows? Maybe after what we've had together in bed, anything's possible.
Yeah, I had to wait, man. Like you don't just unload that on somebody and be like, okay, let's get it on. Like, no, you got to wait. Like there's timing is everything. Timing is critical. Because I had so much happening in those early days of our relationship. The early days that's a whole nother story, a podcast. But it's just, I had to play my cards right. That's for sure.
All right. So then let's go back and talk about one's environment and
sure.
Talk more about how Saudi, I think you really resonate and are more in tune there versus when you come to the States. And I can definitely relate to that. I just got back from LA I was there for like 3 weeks and I'm like, oh, I gotta kind of reset myself a little bit. Can you expand more on that? Like, do you think that just energy is kind of attaching to you when you're in?
100%. I mean, if you think about where I'm living on the globe, this is the seat of humanity. This is the history of so many things. This land, the sand used to be underwater billions of years ago. And there's just an energetic vibration that is very, very dense here. And it does slow you down. And the density used to bother me a lot, because I'd be coming from fast-paced US, and then I'd come back here and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so slow. But the beauty in it is that it is slow, and it allowed me to really take a deep dive. To be honest, it has been the biggest blessing, because it's allowed me to go, okay, what is this thing? What is this thing that I'm carrying around with me that I can get stuff, and I'm going to write it all down. And then I started my blog 4 years ago here, when I really kind of put myself out there, and it's a channeled blog. So every post is a channeled piece. And I did that here because I could, and I'm so in tune with things more here. But I can do the channeling anywhere. But this place was it's like a little womb nurturing place to really help me hone my skills. Because energetically, we're not even running to Target. There is no busybody stuff here. We can get busy, but it's just little things. And it's been just a beautiful blessing. Being in the desert is very unique. I've had people say that the desert never forgets. I had a friend say that to me once, that the desert holds on to memory and never forgets. But the one thing that I was told from a channeling session, a spontaneous channeling session that happened to me while I was driving, was that the desert's feminine. The energy here is actually feminine of the land. And they said, look at the curves of the dunes. It's like the curves of a woman's body. And it gets very hot and fiery, and then it's cool and cold. And it just felt like the energy of the desert here was really, really taking care of us in this really beautiful way.
I love that description. And I think I'm going to use that on my husband. Because like when you said hot and fiery and then cool and cold, that can definitely 100% be me in a single day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
me too.
Like
Me too.
I'm just going to be like, husband, just think of me as a nice oasis desert. Like
Yes.
hot and
And the
fiery one moment
and
and cool and cold.
the heat is kind of purifying, to be honest, because
Yeah.
it's so hot and the sun is so unrelenting. It's like it's sunny every single day. We rarely get clouds, rarely. But there's something of purification a little bit of your energy field when you do that, and it really charges you up. And a friend of mine, a spiritual friend of mine who used to live here, we would talk about that all the time, that the fire, it was like the healing fire of the desert, the healing fire of the sun
Yeah.
would just kind of just burn up everything in your energy field
I
that was not
wonder
serving you.
I wonder if that's why a lot of us I mean, I love the feeling of like the sun like hitting my skin. Like I don't want to burn, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this feels
Yeah.
so good. And that's probably why there's so many sunbathers just like ruining their skin, guilty as charged, because it feels so good just to lay out and let the sun like just, heal you in a way
Yeah.
and charge
Yeah.
you.
It's powerful.
So what's your advice for those who live in like LA and New York and those busy big cities where it's hard to kind of find the quiet space?
I'd say look for the parks and find the closest park or just go walk along the beach. Park your car, go down to the beach, take your shoes off and just walk on the sand. If that's what you can do, that will do you a world of good. It's there's a and I think Mother Nature, I just got to add this in. I think Mother Nature wants you to do this because we are part of the earth and we have to try to make it a priority to connect with her as much as possible because she actually benefits from us doing that. We always talk about us benefiting from going in and earthing or grounding or whatever you want to call it, but really she benefits too because it's a symbiotic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And she calms you down and then she gets the feedback that, you give her, which I don't know what that is, but it's a relationship.
I totally
So
agree. And, a lot of us, me, myself included, I want to give back to Gaia, to Mother Earth in every way that I can. So I kind of go bananas about like, reducing. I'm really into reducing and reusing, and I try my best to do that. And I like get really upset when I see my family members, my own personal family members, like you buy a water, like a plastic water bottle at out of convenience instead of just washing your water bottle out and filling it up. Like it drives me crazy. But then I also have to remind myself, Gaia or Mother Earth just wants connection with you. Like it's okay to just take some time with her and go outside and connect with her in that way. Like sometimes, I mean, we need to do all the other things like reduce and reuse, but also it's so much more than that, just connecting, because then you find a deeper appreciation for where we're living and all that she gives us. And then you kind of want to do all those things. You don't feel like you need to, you want to.
yeah, you want to. And there's space for you to have a personal relationship with Mother Nature. She wants you to. It's like checking in and saying hi and being grateful and being like, gosh, thank you. Where I live, she's truly being, I hate this word, but she's being raped constantly for oil, right? And so I did a ceremony a few years ago and I just gave her so much gratitude and thankfulness for everything she does for all of us. And the oil that is pulled out of her, or they use fracting, and or is that, yeah, they shove the water down in and they try to get it out in so many different ways, and it's so hard on her, and it's all about taking and taking and taking. And I just said, you know what, you have taken such amazing care of us, thank you so much. And I just felt like this big sigh of like, thank you. I'm so glad. Like, especially in this part of the world,
Mm-hmm.
somebody took the time to see me and just acknowledge me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's kind of
Like it's
like a
really
mom,
simple.
like moms, regular, everyday moms
Yeah.
like you and I. It's so
Hmm.
nice to feel appreciated and to hear that
Yeah.
thank you from the kids and the family that are all, it seems like take, a nice,
Yeah.
just appreciation goes
Just
so
appreciation.
far.
Hmm. Yeah. And it calms your nervous system, and then you open yourself up to be able to maybe go up higher. You connect with her and then you can go higher. It's just you can just play with it. But that's what I would say is go to the beach or find a park,
Hmm.
get outside, just go for a walk.
Beautiful. We're both mamas. And I think we've both mentioned that we've witnessed both of our children having deep connection with the divine and with spirit. So do you
Mm-hmm.
think that our kids' generation, it's almost like a whole new species of like spirituality?
Mm. I just think they're incredibly open, um, and things come very, very easy to them. My son is clairvoyant, clairaudient. So far, that those are the two that I know. He can see things, a lot of things, and we have the most incredible conversations. He gets just spirituality like
Hmm.
so quickly, so easily. He gets just like connecting to something bigger than himself, and it's always just amazes me,
So
and it's beautiful.
I totally agree. Do you think that it's because like they're just literally like a whole different species almost, or do you think it's because we, like more parents, are noticing and more accepting and we're not trying to change that? What do you
Hmm.
what are your
Well,
thoughts?
I think they're a little. I think they are designed a little differently. I feel like they're kind of like getting more and more sensitive, more and more refined. They came in differently, perhaps, but they also chose us as their parents to help them walk and navigate this.
Hmm.
Um, and yes, going through our own experiences, are conscious enough to hold space for them and not to poo poo what they're hearing or seeing or experiencing.
Yeah.
Um,
I've heard the
yeah.
word like groom be thrown around as not to me directly, but like with for people like you and I and many other parents who have kids who are clairvoyant, and it's pretty clear to the parents that okay, there's something happening here. This is amazing, and let's
Hmm.
help them and guide them. I I personally don't see it as grooming because if you think back to when we were growing up, I don't know about your parents, but in a way, I guess we were kind of groomed not to do those things, right? And we were kind of groomed
100%.
to conform to what is acceptable in society. So I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Well, I didn't even have a language to explain the voices I was hearing. Like I just
Yeah.
kept it to myself, and then I forgot about it because it would be sporadic. And then the premonitions, the things that happened to me from when I was 6 to 11 were pretty outstanding. And I didn't talk to anyone about it. I never even went to church. So I was completely separated from church and religion. I didn't know what Christianity was. I didn't know what Catholicism was. I thought rosaries were just like pretty necklaces. I didn't know, but I didn't know anything. I was completely in the dark and never had a conversation about it, even.
So did you think that like what you were experiencing was like normal, like everybody felt that way or heard the voices, or I don't want to say voices, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Or did
I
you
don't,
think that
Go
like,
ahead.
wait, why is this happening to this is bizarre. I'm not going to tell anybody about this.
It was so loving that I just accepted it. I was so little. I was probably 5 or 6 the first time it happened. And I just, they told me how much I was loved. And I just said, thanks. Thanks a lot. I didn't like question it. I was just like, all right, like that's great. And I didn't tell anyone. It was just like it I didn't even have the ability to process what was coming in. I just accepted it and went like, thank you, thanks. And then I would feel people so deeply. That part would freak me out because of the empathic stuff. I would just be a live nerve. And I would just be like, whoa. And I just kept my mouth shut. I was pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
That was the safest thing for me to do, is just be quiet and think about what I'm feeling, but don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. So.
I guess in a way that kind of maybe protected you by not talking about it, because then no one could tell you, well, that's weird and crazy. What are you talking
Mm-hmm.
about? You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't tell anybody, there was no shame. But I'm so grateful that, you know, we're in the space now in our society that it's becoming more talked about and more kind of,
thank God.
yeah, it's more like sparkly, I guess, you know?
Yeah. And it's just going to get more and more. Like, it's not even going to be a thing at all. Like, it'll just be like,
It'll be the norm.
People are probably going to be like telepathy happening, and they'll be like, oh, I heard that. You know, like, it's going to be, it's just, I mean, who knows? Like, I'm excited for that day. I don't think I'll be around, but yeah, it's so much freedom in that. And there's just so much just like, okay, let these little people just be who they want to be. And, you know, you see on videos more and more little kids talking to ghosts, talking to spirits. And it doesn't have to be this scary thing. It's just like, it's probably their grandma or their auntie or somebody they knew or another little kid saying hello. And it's not that big a deal.
No.
And,
for me, it's comforting. Like my son saw my dad, and I was so I was like, oh, like just so warm from like the fact that he was seeing my dad, who he's never met, like in, you know, physical, in the physical world. And I was just so happy for him. And I felt warm and just like fuzzy, like, oh, Dad, you're here. Yay.
Oh,
you know, there was no
fear
fear about it at all, though. Like, I was happy for him. I was kind of maybe even a little bit jealous. I'm like, oh, I want to see my daddy. Tell him hi.
That's amazing. That's amazing. My son sees animals too. He sees spirit animals, and he sees a lot of spiders crawling on the walls and stuff. And it's spider medicine and spiders. If you go into like what animal meanings and stuff is, it's awesome. It's so cool. And he saw like really big ones, and they were like bright purple, and they weren't like scary looking spiders. They were more, I think they were more like almost cartoony. Like they weren't like icky. He was like, whoa. And he loves bugs anyway. So he was just like, that's cool. and he sees birds flying around in my grandparents, or in my in-laws' house, his grandparents' house, that a shadow bird, you know, of a bird spirit. And he sees cats and dogs. And it's just amazing to me. I'm just like, and I was like, that is the coolest superpower.
Yeah.
You have the most amazing superpower. I'm so proud, you know, to call you my son. And I feel like I'm so excited to hear about what you have to tell me, you know. Make sure you tell me, because I'm always like, make sure you tell me what's going on and what you see.
Yeah, Mommy wants to know. Share the good stuff. So speaking of spirit animals, I got to be a recipient of a letter from the soul from you, which is something that Samantha does. This is her channel, right? She already spoke of how she writes everything down. And my spirit animal, well, I don't even know if that was my spirit animal. You said that that is you. You are the
both.
wild horse. Both. And that was so cool. And we won't go into my personal letter from the soul, although I would love to, because it was spectacular. And just so you listeners know, the way that Samantha does this is she even puts it like her process for her channel is her own, which you've heard a little bit about, but she does it in such a beautiful way. She puts on this unique stationery that is designed specifically for you. And it is beautiful. Like all these little pictures all over my letter, like there's like starbursts and just, I don't know, it's just warm and cozy, and it's so personal. And it really does, again, I guess, resonate with me in such a way that I can vouch for her that this is not baloney. This is real stuff.
Yeah.
It touched me in such a way that I don't know. I just feel comforted in such a way that I can't explain it. You guys have to just figure it out for yourselves. And if you want to receive a letter from the soul, Samantha, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram, or they can just go to my blog actually that I have, which is www.samantha-jackson.com. And there's a tab on there that says, what is a letter from the soul? What is this? And I try to explain that a little bit. And it's unique to every single person. None are ever the same, So it's a bit of you get to sort of see yourself from a divine lens, and it's almost just like this warm, cozy love and understanding about you, that it's you talking. I'm the middle person, and and I just translate every single thing that they're telling me and I'm feeling for you. And so it's it's like your own little divine collective, if that makes sense. It's your soul, but it's also your guides. It can also be your ancestors or your loved ones. It can also be animal stuff that comes in. It is so vast because every single one of you is truly a walking universe. And so I get to go in, push your skin suit to the side, and receive what your inner universe wants to tell me. And it is so otherworldly, and it is so beautiful. And my vibration goes through the roof when I write them. Sometimes I'm shaking, sometimes I'm crying a little bit. And I've got tingles because I'm connecting with your energy from a very different perspective. But I'm working on trying to figure out how to explain these because it's just it's a piece of you, from you to you, through me, but it's all about you.
And it's a totally unique experience. And you're right. I have a hard time explaining it too, because it's something I've never kind of received. The best thing I can relate it to is like the most romantic love letter you will ever receive, but from your soul, from your guides. It's amazing.
That is beautiful. I love that. I've never heard that before. That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
I still use that. Since I've received this letter, I still use I'll just give you guys a little bit. I have like aunties and grandmas that are like ancient, and they are comforting me, and they are my team. And every meditation now, they're there now. And whenever I'm feeling like I need some support, I call to them. And I've always yearned for that. Like I've always yearned for extra support. I mean, I've always had Yeshua. I know I've always had spirit. I know I've always had support from the other side, but this is just an extra something that I've always yearned for. And now I have it like kind of in my back pocket whenever I need. They're there for me to like wrap that warm blanket around me when I need it. So yes. Samantha, this is the final part, and we're going out with a bang, because I understand how rich this next part will be. Will you please do us the honor of reading one of your channeled messages from Spirit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a blog post I did, and it was entitled Energy Field Maintenance. And this came to me because I just knew that there's something more to us as we walk around on the planet. And I'm just going to start reading right away of what the message is. And you can kind of get a taste of how they sound. Now, this is my divine collective of souls that are with me. And this is what they said. It says, and this is a letter to everybody. This is a message to everyone. It says, "Dearest beloved souls, you might be asking, What is an energetic field? This is a field around your body that is an outward radiance of your essence. You can take a picture of it. It has different colors based on your stress levels, happiness, peace, anger, and love. It is the you that is a foot or more outside of your body, and all you come into contact with. Feel it. This energetic field is like radiating sponges. They absorb all that is around them, and they emit energies towards others like little rays of light. It is different from your inner light, as discussed in previous posts. Your energetic field is external, while your light is internal. It's important now more than ever to take time to be with you, simply so you can feel better. No one on the planet knows you like you do. This is not just meditation. It's a releasing or an active practice of releasing all of your pain bodies. Our favorite way to go out into nature alone. But there are many other ways to help your body release. Burn Palo Santo wood, sweetgrass, sage, dried vetiver, twigs, dried cedar pine, copal incense, and frankincense. Listen to singing bowls or playing singing bowls. Release tones out of your throat and let it reverberate around you. Pray. Sit quietly and listen to nature from the inside of your house or outside. Play a Native American drum. Write gratitude lists. Imagine what peace would feel like in your body. Resist negative talk or judgment thoughts for a day. Ice cold showers, especially in the heart center of your chest. Spend a day listening without talking when with others, or maybe for just an hour. A sacred extra warm bath with Epsom salt, sea salt, organic apple cider vinegar, and baking soda, and sit for at least 30 minutes in total darkness. Cry, intense laughter, nap, yin yoga, calming music that lifts your spirit. You absorb way more than you can possibly realize. Energy field maintenance helps ward off repeating negative thoughts, actions, and projections. Keeping yourself clear is such a glorious act of self-love and self-care that you do become a much truer representation of your real essence the more you do this. The frequency is up to you. You may have to do this several times a day at first. Pay close attention to how you feel. Create a routine that works for you. The better you feel by maintaining your energetic field, the better you attract the things you know are good for you, also known as the things you need. You are energy just as much as you are physical. This is a radical concept that most people just have gotten on board with. Our channel has written about this over and over again because understanding this concept can greatly change your life for the better. What you digest in your mind and body becomes entangled within your energy. It's all woven together like a strand of DNA. If you're constantly absorbing without taking time for yourself to rest, cleanse, and ground, the following negative attributes can happen. You are unable to uphold boundaries. You blame yourself for everything. You lose your joy in life. You take for granted all the important people in your life. You become a very big victim. You blame everyone else for your pain. You have no tolerance for anyone or anything. You reach for numbing tactics like alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, food, sugar, caffeine, and processed foods, just to name a few. You can't maintain any kind of healthy physical discipline. You become codependent. You are angry all the time. You gossip. You feel the need to dominate and control those around you because deep down, you can't control yourself. We say maintenance can lead to happiness. You can make it look however you want it to look. You know it is working when you have the ability to let go and feel inner peace or simply feel satiated with life. when you know all is well, nothing is so bad or so manically good, just in the center, with blessings and love, our channel's higher self and the divine collective.
That was beautiful. And when you were reading that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is what's happening with me right now. Because like I mentioned, I just spent like about 3 weeks in LA, and it wasn't just like normal routine LA. It was during the holiday season. So it was crazy, binging with just,
Yeah.
and I'm not even talking about binging on food, just with everything,
Yeah.
and now I'm feeling those bullet points that you just listed. I feel angry lately, a little depressed, and just kind of short fused and kind of fed up with everything and everyone. And it's because I know I do need to clear some energy. I know that, but it's so weird right now. I kind of just want to sit in it a little bit.
Yeah.
But after you read that, now I'm inspired to do something about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is me right there. So it's like the timing couldn't be more perfect than right now to hear this message for myself anyways. And I could probably safely say that a lot of us out there need to hear this message right now, because usually that's how it goes after the holidays. We need to kind of reset.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been with family and you're absorbing all that great stuff and not so great stuff that family gives you. And oh my gosh. And I think the message that I got when I got this download was like, there's so much more to us than just our physicality. Like, we have this field and it like sucks stuff in, as well as kind of emitting, but it like sucks it in. And if you don't clean it, and like it gave the bullet points and the ways to clean it. There's a bunch of ways. I love being in water. I love taking salt baths. I love lavender oils and aromatic, aromatherapy stuff, and smoke. And one of my favorite things, and I am so blessed to have this here, is frankincense. Frankincense is a little magical energy cleaner, and your energy field cleans it right up.
Where can you get that?
You should be able to get it. I'm guessing, okay, honestly, if you want to get it, I think you have to go to like a Middle Eastern grocery store or something, because it comes from Oman in the Middle East, and maybe some spiritual stores would have it, or you might be able to get it on Amazon, but it comes as a resin, and you burn it on a piece of charcoal that you can put on your stove, or you can light with a lighter, but you have to have a holder for it. And then it just smokes like crazy, and it'll smoke in your whole room. And then it's very clean and light, and you just open a window and shoo, out it goes. And it goes, and the debris that's with you kind of goes with it. It's really powerful. So I'm a huge fan of frankincense.
And if you can't get a hold of that, like all the other things that Samantha mentioned, that's perfectly great. And I think it's more about, like you, or like Spirit mentioned, it's about the ritual. Yeah. So Samantha, thank you. It has been an honor. I love you so much. I loved this conversation. And I thank you.
Me too. Well, thank you. It's an honor to be on your show. And I'm just really, really happy to be here and talk to you. And it's fun. It's like talking to such a good girlfriend. I love it.
Girl. All right. Love you, girl.
Love you too.
It is a beautiful blessing that Samantha's channel has opened, and I, for one, have loved receiving the message. I thank Samantha for sharing her gift with us today. My hope is that today's exchange will plant seeds of transformation for all of us, to open up the possibility of us sharing our gifts with each other, and for us to all to receive a letter from the soul in some way. I believe that most of us have been feeling the shift of energy within ourselves and the collective. I pray that you give yourself the chance. I pray that I give myself the chance to receive, to give, to grow, to connect. May the light guide us and the shadow evolve us. And so it is.